Most people are consuming your content exactly like Netflix. They watch, they nod along, they feel like they got something useful, and then they do nothing about it. No message, no inquiry, no next step. They just move on to the next post. So why does this keep happening? Now, you've probably had a lot of posts that people have loved. They've commented on it, this is gold, I needed this. They might save it, they might even share it, but your inbox stays dead. And that's because you accidentally trained them to do one thing really well: consume. And that consumption loop they're in looks exactly like this. So, you will post, your audience might like, save it, share it, engage with it in some capacity, and this to them feels helpful, and then they leave. This is something that happens a lot because there is no next step for them that they feel they can take. And this consumption loop feels to them like they're getting some progress, but they don't make any actual movement. And you do this because most content advice will tell you to post more value, be more consistent, share things like tips and frameworks and how-tos, free advice every single day. But value without tension creates passive audiences. And your content starts to look a lot like Netflix. Netflix is satisfying, it's entertaining, it's very passive, people continue watching. Your content is the same, it's satisfying, it's helpful, it's very passive, people continue scrolling. Because valuable does not mean activating. Saving your post at the end may make them feel like they did something, but they didn't. And deep down, they know it. Content that creates movement does something else. It creates a tension between where they are now and where they want to be. This is the difference between their current state and their desired state. Things like if they're confused, but they desire to be clear. If they're ignored, but want to be trusted. If they're simply posting, but want to be getting clients. Now, most people try to close the gap too quickly, to fill it with free information, and all that happens is the audience starts to feel soothed. It actually lowers the tension. But great buyer content doesn't close the gap. It makes them feel that this gap is completely undeniable. You're taking them from not thinking, here's another tip, to telling them explicitly, you cannot stay where you are. Because buyers will move when the problem feels real, when the cost is visible, and when the next step is obvious. This is the difference between the consumption path and the conversion path. Different content creates different behaviours. A lot of people create content that's very self-contained. The post starts, the post ends, nothing continues. So naturally, people leave. So you need to stop trying to solve the entire problem with one piece of content and stop saying at the end, I hope this helped. That doesn't create any kind of momentum. Every piece of content needs to point somewhere. You might start with an Instagram post that leads to a YouTube deep dive, that leads to an email relationship, that eventually leads to them working with you. If every post is a dead end, people will consume it just like Netflix. Pleasant, forgettable, gone. Now, I'm not saying to stop being helpful, I'm saying to stop being only helpful. Your audience doesn't need another tip. They need someone to make them feel the cost of staying stuck, the gap between where they are now and where they want to be, and the fact that consuming content doesn't make them change. Saving posts isn't progress, and watching content isn't growth. And I'll figure it out someday is one of the most expensive lies that people tell themselves. Your job isn't to make people feel informed, it's to make them feel ready to stop consuming and start moving. Because if your content only satisfies people, they'll consume you forever. But if it activates them, they'll eventually buy. If this video connected with you, watch this one next because it ties directly into this idea of how people create content that attracts attention, not just buyers. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.